What's up, guys? I am so sorry. I haven't been uploading and stuff like that. I've been a bit busy, but I want to talk a little bit about the trial of Rittenhouse. I also want to talk about this Drew guy. Oh my God. Where to start here? Well, it's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, that the Democrats, the left, they are defending pedophiles and career criminals with rap sheets probably as long as your arm. The guys that Kyle Rittenhouse shot were all criminals and they were all attacking him and they were all white. So I don't know where they got racism from. They're trying to race bait with everything. They're trying to throw anything to the wall and hope it sticks. It is complete bullshit. And I hope that Kyle Rittenhouse, I'm happy for the kid. I'm happy that justice was served. I mean, he was attacked and he acted in self-defense. He had to do what he had to do. I mean, one guy was bashing his head in with a skateboard. I mean, he hit him twice. I mean, how many times do you got to hit somebody in the head before they could shoot you? I mean, like, this is crazy. It's absolutely insane. And Gage Grosskreutz or something like that, he pointed a Glock at the kid's head. I mean, if he didn't shoot, he would have been dead by now. So he did what he had to do. It is what it is. I mean, it is crazy. And the defamation from the media and the defamation from the Joe Biden campaign last year, I mean, showing him as a white supremacist. And, I mean, the evidence is all on the video, and they are slandering this kid, calling him an evil white supremacist, calling him a militia member, and making all these stories and fabricating and making him look bad. And I mean, this kid, even though he's free now, he's not going to be able to go to school and have a normal life without having liberals attack him left and right. He cannot, get a normal job later on in life. I mean, this kid's life is basically ruined. So I mean, the Covington kid, Sandman, he got 260 million, settlement, dollar settlement. So I believe that, this kid could bag a couple hundred mil. So, hopefully he goes out there and he sues the crap out of the media and Joe Biden and all these people for, their disgusting gestures. I mean, they're talking about, oh, how, this kid, he got off because he was white. If he was black, he wouldn't have gotten off. I mean, you got to understand one thing, a couple months ago or something like that, this black kid in Texas, he went into his school and he shot like two or three people, and it resulted in, a couple more injuries, a couple people falling over and getting injured. So, I mean, four people in total were injured. And I mean, he shot his high school teacher in the back and it shattered his ribs, his rib cage, and collapsed his lungs. And one student is in critical condition. And this guy, he was brought to prison and he was bailed out like the next day. And Kyle Rittenhouse, he acted in self-defense, and this kid was locked up for 80 something days. And the bail that they put on him was $2 million. I mean, absolute bonkers, fucking ridiculous. And I mean, days after the trial, like a day or two after the trial, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, there was this man, this alleged black man, that drove his SUV into a crowd of people at a Christmas parade, and he injured like 48 people and he killed 5 people. And this dude has, like, from what the police found, it was like 50 pages long of charges. I mean, this dude has a book in terms of his rap sheet. He has a book of charges. Why is this guy out in the streets and not rotting in prison is absolutely beyond me. And to me, his race, to me, it doesn't really matter. But, because the left love to bring up racism, and they love to bring up racism and white supremacy so much. I'm gonna just bring it up. Like, why isn't this dude targeted for a hate crime? Why isn't this dude targeted for being a racist or an insurrectionist? Because he's a BLM guy. He's a black man who is a leftist. That's why he's not getting targeted by the media. So it's ridiculous. They're talking about privilege as if it's like the early 1900s. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this dude, he got 50 pages of charges. The fact that he's still roaming the streets is actually mind boggling. I don't understand the concept behind that. This dude should be in jail. This man should be in jail for what he has done. And hopefully he gets a life sentence. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. And Antifa, BLM, they talk about how, like, oh, they want to abolish prisons. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse is a direct result of that. I mean, when you defund the police and you don't have police on the ground doing their job, and streets and stuff like that, and buildings are getting burnt down to the ground, there will be patriots that will pick up their guns and go out there and police the streets. Isn't that what BLM wants? They want no more police on the streets. They want the civilians, the people, to police their own streets. And this is a direct result of defunding the police. And if you abolish the police, you will have more Kyle Rittenhouses on the streets doing the same thing, defending their city, defending their state, defending their hometown. So, I mean, this is what you guys were asking for, and you guys want to say abolish the prisons. I mean, you don't want prisons, right? But you want to put Kyle in there, but you want to abolish prisons. So, you want prisons or not? Like, I don't understand what these people. I don't know. It's crazy, man. Fucking liberals, but but talking about crime nowadays, the reason why black people are more likely to get arrested is because black people are more likely to commit crimes. I mean, the black population in America is like 12 or 13% of the population, but they make up more than half of the homicides, half of the murders. So of course, if there's a higher probability for that group to commit a crime, there's going to be a higher probability of them getting arrested by the police officer. It's not much to do with racism, but it's more of the misconduct of the person, and the person so happens to be black. So I don't understand how people say, oh, because black people are more likely to get arrested, so that just means racism, and they claim it without any basis. Like, there's context to this. Yes, black people are more likely to get arrested, but they are also more likely to go out and commit a crime. So it it all makes sense. And they're saying, oh, there's too much black people in prisons. And it doesn't make sense. We gotta diversify it. We gotta put more white people in there, and we gotta like bail out some black people. And that's the direct result of that. This man, this African American man, is getting bailed out into the streets, and he comes back and out into the streets, and he continues to commit his crimes. And I mean, you guys are so worried about diversifying your prisons instead of doing it according to the conduct of the person. And it is interesting. We are getting to the point where everything has to do with race. Everything is race. Everything is race. I mean, they complain, why is like majority of, NBA coaches or NFL coaches or baseball coaches white? And I have I also have a counter question. Why is most of the athletes black? Majority of the athletes black. Is it because of racism? No, it's not because of racism, but most basketball players, professional basketball players at the NBA level, are black, because black people tend to be, more athletic, and they have the qualities that fit the sport better, and that's why they are better athletes, but better athletes for that specific sport. But white people, they are better coaches, and to me, it's not much about race, but it's about like the guy, choosing the right guy. To me, I want to choose the right guy for the job. I'm not going to choose somebody just because of how he looks. I want to choose him because he's the right man for the job, and he's going to give us some wins. He's going to win us some championships. So you got to pick the right guy for the job. You're going to pick a Michael Jordan. You're going to pick a Kobe Bryant. You know, you're going to pick a LeBron James. But for a coach, you're definitely going to pick a Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich. It's not because you're racist, but you want to pick the right guy for the right job. You want to pick the best guy for the job, to get the job done. And the best coaches just so happen to be white, and the best basketball players just so happens to be mostly black. It's not because they're racist that their team has more black people playing, and it's not they're racist. That's why they have a white head coach, but it's because they're the right man for the right job. you know, like to me, like let's say a Navy SEAL, they have an important operation and they're trying to assassinate a terrorist leader, something like Osama bin Laden, right? You want a group of grizzled vets, a group of like battle hardened men, you know, that can get the fucking job done. You don't want like some female soldier to go on that mission, and that's not because sexism, but you want the right person for the right job. You want the right person for the right job. You see the majority of the dangerous jobs, and the hard lifting jobs, it's mostly men working, like construction work, or firemen, kicking down a burning building and carrying like 2 3 people on their shoulders. eh, high stress situations and life threatening situations. Majority of those jobs are operated those occupations are operated by male workers, and that's not because of sexism, but it's because the majority of men qualify, and some women probably qualify, and if they qualify, they qualify, but the majority is men, because men are built differently. They have higher testosterone, they have higher red blood cells, they have a higher VO2 maxes, they have higher lung capacity, they have higher muscle mass, they have higher bone density. This is not sexism, but this is just straight up science. This is straight up like you know just straight up biology. Men, they are created by God to do a specific purpose. And you see in the animal kingdom too, the males, they're strong, they're buff, they're big, and they're out there, they're hunting, they're fighting, and they're protecting the family. And the female counterparts, they're out there nurturing the young. And gender roles is not really like a sexist thing or a racist or a terrible thing. I mean, you have some outliners where you have husbands who are good at home, taking care of the kids, and there are some wives that are really good at making money. But the majority of the time, it's mostly men. They go out there and they do dangerous jobs. That's why majority of workplace deaths are males. And women, they are just God blessed, you know, to be able. They have that nurturing side. The woman, they have that nurturing nature. No, as men, we love our children. We also love our children to death, but it's never to the extent of a mother. A mother's love. You cannot beat a mother's love, man. You cannot beat a mother's love. And the patience of a mother is something special. And it's, to me, it's a God-given gift. Each person has a different task, a different job. We're like a well-oiled machine, a machinery, but there are many other parts working, and each part has its own purpose, and working together, it forms a strong body car or a strong machine, but it needs all of those parts to know what their role is and play their role. You know, every part in that machinery has its own role. And if it focuses on playing its role very well, then that machine will work very well. And to me, a family is kind of like that as well, or a team, a basketball team, or a military unit. Every single MOS, every single occupation, every single job in the company, every single person has a purpose. And he has to fulfill his purpose, you know, to the best of his abilities, and that will ensure success. And that, to me, that's like in the family as well. But in certain families, the men stay at home and the women goes to work, but the majority of the time it's the men going to work, and the women, they work for a full-time job too, but sometimes they work a part-time job, or sometimes they don't work at all. They stay at home and they take care of the kids. And that goes to my other topic. The reason why, men usually make more money than women every year is because they work more and they work tougher jobs. The majority of workplace debts are men, so they work longer hours. They work, longer in their life, so they live shorter. They have shorter life expectancy, because of things they have to go through in their life, dangerous jobs. They have to work long hours. They have to work and they retire later in life as well. So, men, let me say something, man. Women, they have it hard in certain areas, but men, they also have their own struggles. So to say, oh, men have it so easy and women, they have it so hard, it's not really true. It's like that type of thing. Like, oh, you always think like the grass is greener on the other side, but it's not really that. Each person has their own sufferings. You know, my girlfriend, she goes through a lot of shit that I never know. I'll never understand. And I wouldn't be wanting to do that because that's not my thing. But I also go through a lot of shit when I work. I go through a lot of shit. And that's the type of shit that she would never want to do. You know. And vice versa. So I mean, we both have our struggles. We both have our struggles. Is people always think like, oh, it's greener on the other side. I'm like, no, it's not. Each person has their role to fulfill, and each person has their own struggles in life. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that the man, they will always make more money because they are the man of the household. Their job is to provide for the family. Their job is to put food on the table. Their job is to take care of the family, to be the protector of the family and the provider of the family. And male athletes, the reason why they make more money is because everybody watch male sports. Not a lot of people watch women's sports. And when you can't bring in interest, when you can't bring in sponsorships, when you can't bring in eyeballs and viewerships, then you're not going to bring revenue. And when you can't bring revenue for the company will not be able to pay you. It's common sense. But a lot of these people, they don't understand. They don't get that. Like I said, in terms of athletes, male athletes will always get paid more than women till the end of time. And this is not like a sexism thing, but it's just the truth. Watching male athletes, it's more entertaining. Watching LeBron James fly in the air, dunk and stuff like that. Watching these, Kobe Bryant, spin around, fade away and stuff like that. Watching these male athletes, they compete at a higher level because they do. They're built differently. They're built genetically differently. They're more athletic, and it's true. It's true. Men are built differently. And that's not a knock on women. I mean, if you like to watch the WNBA, then watch the WNBA, But, to me, I don't watch that because it's not as entertaining. I don't want to spend my money on that product or, spend my time watching that product, but that's just me, And, the funny thing is every single year that the WNBA has existed, it has lost an average of about like $10 million every single year. The only reason why the WNBA still exists is because it's leeching off, it's living off the NBA. The NBA is actually providing it its profit to keep it alive, keeping it on life support, basically. So I mean, I mean, you are relying on the men, you know. But to me, it's not a sexism thing. You know, in America, we love to bring up like sexism, racism, and I mean, like, if you want to bring up racism against black people, and say white people are hunting black people in the streets, I mean, 93% of black murder victims are killed by other blacks. So no, they are not getting hunted down by whites. They are getting hunted down by their own people. Is more precise. And I mean, if you get rid of the police, if you get rid of like prisons and stuff like that, you're just gonna release criminals back into the streets. Police, there will be no policing of the streets, so there will be more mass murders between black people. The amount of black murders would skyrocket. So no, you're not helping the black community by doing that. So it does not make any sense. You look at the statistics, it does not make any sense. We have more black millionaires and billionaires in this country than any country in the world. So to say that this country does not give great opportunity to African Americans is complete bullshit. I mean, Asian Americans are the highest average household income earners in America. If this country was really racist against people of color, they would have never allowed people like me to become successful in this country. And I mean, we also voted for a person of color for 2 terms in the most powerful office in the world. So no, this country is not a white supremacist country. And honestly, and they want to take away your freedoms. They want to take away your rights of speech. They want to take away your Second Amendment. And I mean, 20 out of 20 of the most violent cities are ran by Democrats. So no, gun control does not work. you know it's ridiculous. You could go on and on. I could go on and keep debunking all these myths. But like I said, man, it is fucking crazy. It's fucking stupid, in my opinion. I mean, you look at Biden and his job right now. You look at the inflation. He's messing up everything. The inflation, the gas prices, the high taxes, the border crisis, the supply chain crisis, rising crime, rising unemployment, rising COVID, Afghan debacle, foreign policy debacles, the tyrannical mandates, CRT teaching racism in our country, in our kids' classrooms. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Teaching kids to judge each other on the color of the other person's skin instead of the context of their character is simply racism. You're teaching division. And I guess they have to do that in order to keep winning votes. They got to brainwash these people. And they want to bring in illegal immigrants, and they want to give them 500,000 each. And I mean, overdoses, deaths from overdoses has surpassed 100,000 for the first time in 2021. There has been no year in America where the overdose deaths has surpassed 100,000. That's what happens when you have open borders, when you bring in criminals that bring in their fentanyl, their opioids and stuff like that. And honestly, there is more COVID deaths this year than last year. There's more COVID deaths under Biden than Trump. And in the Biden era, you have the vaccines and you have the therapeutics. And it's probably like their number one like issue right now, and they're still fucking up. And honestly, I really doubt the effectiveness of the vaccines, because I mean, Singapore, they have almost like a 90% fully vaccination rate, but they're still facing like record highs of cases and deaths. So does this vaccine really work? Does the clot mask really work? And I mean, I already have natural immunity after getting it, so I don't understand why we're forcing it on people. And I mean, there are more kids die more from the flu than COVID, so why are we forcing it on kids is absolutely beyond me. I don't understand why we're doing this at all. It's complete anti-science. It doesn't make any scientific sense. And I mean, there are more COVID deaths worldwide this year than last year. So you tell me whether or not these vaccines really work. I think it does work in the beginning, but after a while, the effects really wane out. And when the effects wane out, I believe it kind of leaves you vulnerable to other infections and stuff like that, diseases and stuff like that. So you're not safe. You're not safe, in my opinion. So and we don't know the long-term effects of this virus. Why are we forcing our young kids, 5 to 11, to take these shots in order to go to school? You look at Florida, they are the freest state in America, and their COVID cases are basically zero right now. They are basically almost COVID free, and they are the freest state in the world. To me, whether or not you should wear a mask or get the vaccine is up to you and up to the parent. The government has no say or shouldn't have a say in whether or not the kid wears a mask to school or gets the vaccine. I think it's ridiculous. It's like a totalitarian regime. Biden is a dictator. And I mean, my family came from a communist country, so they know what's up. So when they came here, we ain't fucking with the Democrats, man. We conservatives, and it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with skin color. It's all about freedom. It's all about, like I usually said, like I usually say, my family always say this. They say family, country, and family. Those are the things that we conserve. And it's the same thing with me. It's God, family, and country. I don't see skin color. To me, we're all Americans. It's either you're a piece of shit American or you're a good American. It's either you have a bad character, you're a bad person, or you're a good person. We don't have to characterize people based on their skin color, but that's what the Democrats are trying to do, and they are gaslighting the shit out of everybody. So we got to fight back. But I think 2022, we taking the House and the Senate back. Our odds are looking really good. The 2024 elections are looking really good for us as well. But we have to implement those voter IDs. Stop them from cheating, and I think we be good, man. Bright future ahead. I really like President Trump, but I also like Ron DeSantis. He's to me, he's like a younger version of Trump, but he doesn't really bring in the drama. So I like him, man. He's gonna have a bright future. He's a great governor. I mean, if only we had 50 Ron DeSantis's, every single state and every single state. I mean, we'd be turning this country around real quick. But that's why I like Florida, man. I also like Texas a lot. Those great conservative states. Utah, and Idaho, stuff like that. Living in Chicago, I mean, I can't even get an AR. I mean, there's an AR ban in Cook County. I can't even get an AR. So I mean, the best I could get is a shotgun and a handgun, and that's what I got. I only got a shotgun and a handgun. It is what it is. But I wish I could get an AR. Or an M4A1 style rifle. But it is what it is. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Yeah, but I'm glad that Kyle Rittenhouse, got acquitted. He's a good kid. Went out, defended his city. Tragic stuff happened, and he did what he had to do to defend his life. So it is what it is. And I just love seeing the leftist, liberals and stuff like that explode on Twitter. I mean, they're a bunch of fucking salty bitches. Some funny shit, man. Yeah, but have a good night. Peace out, guys.